Welcome to the answer key for noun clause exercises number 1. Feel free to watch the entire video to review all of the sentences, or you may skip ahead to the sentences about which you have specific questions. Number 1. The first thing we'll do is find the prepositional phrases. We have two prepositional phrases in this sentence: to whoever is willing to work with that client, and with that client. Our next step is to label the verbs by type and identify the functions of all the nouns and pronouns. Our first verb phrase is will give. Will is a modal auxiliary and give is an action verb. Our second verb is. It is a be verb. The noun boss is acting as the subject of the verb will give, and raise is acting as the direct object for the action verb give. The pronoun whoever is acting as the subject for the be verb is, and the noun client is acting as the object of the preposition with. Next, we will underline any interrogative pronouns, interrogative adverbs, or the expletive that. These words signal the beginning of the dependent noun clauses, so your first bracket would be placed right before any of them. In this sentence, whoever is our interrogative pronoun, and it begins our noun clause, which goes all the way to the end of the sentence. This noun clause is acting as the object of the preposition to. Number 2. We have two prep phrases in the sentence: for that job and of us. Our verbs are the action verb volunteers and the verb phrase will surprise. Will is a modal auxiliary and surprise is an action verb. The pronoun whoever is acting as the subject of the action verb volunteers. Job is the noun acting as the object of the preposition for. All is a pronoun acting as a direct object for the action verb surprise, and us is a pronoun acting as the object of the preposition of. Next, I'm going to look for my interrogative pronouns, adverbs, or expletives. In this sentence, whoever is my interrogative pronoun, which is also acting as the subject of the action verb volunteers. This pronoun begins the noun clause of this sentence. Whoever volunteers for that job. And this whole noun clause is acting as the subject of the verb phrase will surprise. Number 3. There is one prep phrase in this sentence: to his demanding expectations. Our verbs are is, which is a be verb, and contributes, which is an action verb. Our nouns are fact, which is acting as the subject of the action verb contributes. The pronoun he is acting as the subject of the be verb is. The noun general is acting as a predicate nominative because it follows the be verb and renames that subject he. And the noun expectations is serving as the object of the preposition to. We underline the expletive that, which begins our noun clause, that he is a retired general. Because this noun clause follows the word fact and renames it, we know that it is acting as an appositive. Number 4. There are no prep phrases in this sentence. Our first verb is the action verb wondered. Our second verb phrase is had saved. Had is an auxiliary and saved is an action verb. Joan, our first noun, is acting as the subject of the action verb wondered. The pronoun she is acting as the subject of had saved. And the noun money is acting as the direct object for the action verb saved. Our interrogative adverb is the word whether, and it begins our noun clause. Whether she had saved enough money. This noun clause is following the action verb wondered. Joan wondered what? Whether she had saved enough money. So this noun clause is functioning as the direct object of the action verb wondered. Number 5. We have one prep phrase in the sentence, by Thursday. Our first verb is the be verb is, and our second verb phrase is must be submitted. Must is a modal auxiliary, be is an auxiliary, and submitted is an action verb. The noun change is acting as the subject of the be verb is. The pronoun all is acting as the subject of the verb phrase must be submitted. The noun applications is in a positive, renaming the subject all. And Thursday is the noun acting as an object of the preposition by. The expletive that is underlined, and it signals the beginning of the noun clause that all applications must be submitted by Thursday. Because this noun clause is following the be verb is, we know that it is renaming the subject change. Change is that all applications must be submitted by Thursday. So it is acting as a predicate nominative. Number 6. There's one prep phrase in the sentence, of the students. Our first verb is the action verb think, and our second verb is the be verb is. The noun 6 is acting as the subject of the action verb think. The noun students is acting as the object of the preposition of, and the noun date is acting as the subject of the be verb is. The expletive that is underlined, and it signals the beginning of the noun clause that the due date is too early. This noun clause follows the action verb think. 6 of the students think what? That the due date is too early. So this noun clause is acting as the direct object of the action verb think. Number 7. We have one prep phrase about vitamins in this sentence. The first verb phrase is did hear. Did is an auxiliary verb, and hear is an action verb. The second verb is said. It is also an action verb. Our first noun is Flanders, and it is acting as the subject of the verb did hear. The next pronoun is what. It is actually an interrogative pronoun, and so we underline it. And it is acting as the direct object of the action verb said. The noun doctor is acting as the subject of the verb said. Doctor said what? So what is functioning as the direct object of that action verb said. It's also our signal word that begins our noun clause. The last noun is the word vitamins, and it is acting as the object of the preposition about. Now, we know that our noun clause is what the doctor said about vitamins. It is following the action verb hear. Flanders did not hear who or what the doctor said about vitamins. That whole noun clause is acting as the direct object of the action verb hear. Number 8. Whenever everyone arrives will be the best time for the survey. We have one prepositional phrase in this sentence for the survey. Our first verb is arrives, and it is an action verb. Its subject is the pronoun everyone. The second verb phrase is will be. Will is a modal auxiliary and be is a be verb. Now, in looking for the subject of this verb phrase, will be, who or what will be? This leads us back to identifying the noun clause that begins with the interrogative adverb whenever. Whenever everyone arrives will be the best time for the survey. So this noun clause, which begins with the interrogative adverb whenever, acts as the subject of the independent clause will be. Whenever everyone arrives will be the best time for the survey. The noun time is acting as a predicate nominative. It follows the be verb and renames the subject. Whenever everyone arrives equals the best time. Our final noun in this sentence is survey, and it is acting as the object of the preposition for. Number 9. We have one prep phrase, on Tuesday. Tuesday is the object of the preposition on. Our first verb is the action verb told. Our second verb phrase is would listen. Would is a modal auxiliary. Listen is an action verb. Our final verb phrase is will have. Will is a modal auxiliary and have is an action verb. The noun Mr. Jacks is operating as the subject of the action verb told. The pronoun whoever is acting as the subject for the verb phrase would listen. And the pronoun we is acting as the subject for the verb phrase will have. The noun test is acting as the direct object of the action verb have. We have two signal words in the sentence, the interrogative pronoun whoever and the expletive that. Both of these words begin the noun clauses that follow them. Whoever would listen, and that we will have a test on Tuesday. These noun clauses follow the action verb told. Mr. Jacks told what? He told that we would have a test on Tuesday. So this noun function is acting as the direct object. Who received this direct object, this information that we will have a test on Tuesday? Whoever would listen. This noun clause is acting as an indirect object. It is coming between our action verb, told, and our direct object, that we would have a test on Tuesday, and it is receiving the direct object. Number 10. We have two prep phrases in this sentence. To me, with the pronoun me acting as the object of the preposition to, and the noun home acting as the object of the preposition at. Our first verb is the action verb matters. Our second verb is the be verb is. And the third verb is the be verb are. The pronoun what is acting as the subject of the action verb matters. And the pronoun you is acting as the subject of the be verb are. In looking for the subject of the be verb is, who or what is? What matters most to me is. So our first noun clause, which begins with the interrogative pronoun what, is acting as the subject for the be verb is. The second noun clause begins with the expletive that you are safe at home. This noun clause follows the be verb is, and it renames our subject, what matters most to me, equals that you are safe at home. So this noun clause is a predicate nominative. Number 11. The two prep phrases in this sentence are on the first day, with the noun day acting as the object of the preposition on, and college acting as the object of the preposition of. The first verb is the action verb determined, and the second verb is the action verb wanted. The noun professor is acting as the subject of the action verb determined. The noun challenge is acting as the direct object of the action verb determined. The pronoun no one is acting as the subject of the action verb wanted. The expletive that is underlined and signals the beginning of our noun clause. That no one wanted to look foolish on the first day of college. This noun clause is following the direct object challenge and renaming it and changing the meaning of the sentence, so we know that this noun clause is an object complement. If the sentence were only the professor determined the challenge, that means something different than the professor figuring out that the challenge is that no one wanted to look foolish on the first day of college. So adding that additional information in the object complement changes the meaning of the sentence. Number 12. This sentence is a bit tricky, so let's divide it in half and look at the two parts. The verbs in the first half are will, compete. Will is a modal auxiliary, compete is an action verb. The second verb is the action verb wants. The subjects for these verbs are the noun Michelle and the noun coach. We have a preposition in the first half, against, and the object of the preposition is the noun clause that begins with the interrogative pronoun whomever. Whomever starts the noun clause, whomever the coach wants, and its function is the direct object in that clause. Coach wants whomever. So whomever is the direct object of the action verb wants. In the second half of the sentence, the next verb is, which is a be verb, and the final verb of the sentence is also is. The pronoun it looks to be the subject of the first be verb, but is actually just a placeholder, and I'll come back to that in a second. The pronoun she is the subject of the last be verb is. The noun player is the predicate nominative because it follows that be verb and renames the subject of the dependent clause, she. And the noun school is acting as the object of the preposition in. The expletive that signals the beginning of this second noun clause, that she is the best chess player in the school. And this is functioning as the delayed subject for the placeholder pronoun it. As I mentioned, I'll cover this in more detail in the next video.